Hey guys, welcome back to JD Mods. Today we're doing a quick assembly video and we're going to start off with how to measure the end play in a 13B build. This of course is my 13B REW from a 93 RX-7. The last video I assembled a short block. Since then, if you guys follow the channel, I've installed my flywheel that was freshly resurfaced. Here's a little trick for you. Sorry I didn't film this live, but this nut gets torqued to, I believe, it's over 300 foot-pounds, I believe 320 to 360 or something like that. Don't quote me. But of course, most half-drive torque wrenches only go up to 150 foot-pounds. So I learned that what you can do, that I did, was first torque it to 150 foot-pounds. Don't forget to use red Loctite. And then what you want to do, ignore those marks, is put one mark on the nut, right up and down, and then put a mark on the flywheel behind one tooth over. So here, and then use your big breaker bar with an extension to turn it until those marks line up, which is 60 degrees rotation, which puts you right around the torque range that you need. It's not a super critical torque, but it just needs to be tight enough to not come off. So now that we got the flywheel on, I've been using my custom flywheel holder, which is a piece of angle iron with two holes cut in it that I just bolt onto the flywheel. What I've done over here, let me walk you through it, was just built up the front assembly. This build up, you can find lots of diagrams. A few things to remember: make sure that the first thrust washer you put with the bevel facing inwards towards the back of the motor. Then you just build up the assembly. I can show you right now so you don't have to Google it. There's the assembly built up right there. Pause the video if you want to read that. So that's what we have right here, and then all you do is torque the end bolt to 80 foot-pounds. And now we are going to do the end play test. So to do this test, you need a magnetic base, such as this one right here, that I've bolted right where the water pump goes. And then you need a dial indicator, which goes onto the base and holds it perfectly still. So I have currently the assembly pushed as far back as it can go. I'm pushing on the front bolt here. And then I've adjusted my dial indicator to read right on 0. There's 0. This one reads in thou, even though I bought this in Canada. Come on guys, get with the times. Anyway, so now what we're going to do is push on the back of the flywheel and see what happens. So I've done this a few times and that is exactly the number I keep getting. So sorry about my shaky hand, but that's just over 3, pretty much 3.4 thou. Or 35 thou. I don't even know how to say it because I'm a metric guy. But as you can see, that's what we're doing. The tolerance is whatever, 16 to 28, with this being the max. So we're right on the max. But as you can see, the torque spec is 80 to 97. So what I've heard you can do before you replace the spacer is try tightening up the torque. So I'm going to go up now to 85 and see if that helps at all. So after re-torquing it to the full amount of around 95 foot-pounds is the maximum recommended torque, I'm still getting a readout of just over 0.003 inches, which is technically under the maximum amount of spec, but because we want the tolerance to be tighter, that means I don't have to buy a new spacer. Instead, I can just be very careful, and I'm going to choose to sand it down a little bit. Alright guys, so the proper way to do this would be to buy a spacer with a lower letter, I guess, so probably a A or B spacer. But due to the time constraints, and I guess save myself 20 bucks, I'm gonna see if I can make this a little bit smaller. It is right at the top end of the tolerance, but I want to try and get it to around 0.002 inches. So to do that, I have some 40 grit sandpaper on a nice flat surface, my concrete floor. And I'm also gonna oil up the sandpaper. So before I get sanding, I did a quick measurement. This isn't quite right, it's a little dirty, but it's around 0.316 is what I had before. So I'm gonna take it to around 0.315. Of course, I can always take more off. So to do this, I'm gonna oil up my sandpaper and just lightly, evenly press and go in a figure 8 motion to get it all made flat. Of course, if you have a lathe, that works too. So let's go ahead and take off 1 thou. I believe that's how you say it. And then we'll remeasure it on the motor. So it's back together with my sanded down spacer. I evenly, with my oiled sandpaper, took off right around 1 thou. So I got my indicator set up again. Let's watch it together. So that's with the pulley pushed as far back as I can push it. And now if I pull the flywheel towards us, it goes up right around 2 thou, which is perfect. Before, I think it was just a little sloppy. Push it back. There you go. So as you can see in the shop manual, where are we? Here we are, 0.0016 to 0.0028. So mine's definitely on the slightly tighter side. Maybe I shouldn't have taken off quite as much, but I read online that right around 0.002 is perfect. So that's the end of the how to set your end play. I'm gonna probably do a bit more assembly in this video, but if that's all you wanted to know, now you know how. Of course, it has to come back apart now and be assembled properly, but at least now I know my end play is good. So it's starting to look a lot more like an engine. I got the front cover on. Of course, everything behind it I got on as well. We got on our new flywheel that you saw in the last clip. I got the oil pan on and the engine mounts as well. So now it is finally time for accessories. I got a couple spark plugs and sensors, little things like that on this side. And then what I went ahead and did was laid out all my accessories. So you can see all the accessories here that just eventually will bolt onto the motor. That's most of them. And sorry about the spinning, but I have more over here as well. It's pretty much going to be a stock setup, as you can tell, with the exception of the sweet intakes. So I'm just going to run through my manual. Because this is not a how-to video, I'm not going to go through everything step by step. If I find something I think is exciting, I'll show you guys. But there's a lot of good how-to videos out there, so we're just going to try and keep this one nice and short. So I'm going to probably next do oil metering pump, water pump, and a few more accessories on the front of the motor. So I think it's time for another update. You can see quite a bit has happened. Trying to remember where I left off in the last clip, because I kind of just put some work in instead of filming. So yeah, essentially we got all of the stuff on top of the motor on. I'll go over that a bit in detail outside here, but essentially we have where your rat's nest and solenoids would be, but I deleted all of those. I got your ignition coils in there, your fuel rail, oil injection pump, couple coolant hoses, the lower intake, upper intake, throttle body, oil fill, couple of the hoses. Of course, the wiring harness you can see is starting to go on, water pump, and on the back here, that's about it actually. Took a surprising amount of time to put all that on, but let me show you guys what we have left. Got a couple accessory pumps, AC, power steering. This is some charged piping right here, alternator, water neck, starter that goes on the trans, and of course the exhaust manifold and turbo. Now, what I'm going to be doing is a non-sequential or parallel turbo, so it's just the two turbos running together. And why I did that was because the solenoids in this motor were all messed up. Everything was broken. I would have had to buy a whole bunch of solenoids, vacuum line, which I did anyway, but even more vacuum line, electrical connectors, tons of unnecessary stuff. So what I'm doing is a proper non-sequential setup, and I'm not sure, I don't think I'm gonna throw it in this video because there's a bunch of little things I want to talk about. I'm gonna call it its own video. It's more specific for people that maybe have an RX-7 that want to do it, because it took me quite a while to find out a good how-to, and pictures are really hard to come by. So I'm gonna try and make my own version of the how-to. But essentially, this box right here is everything that I am deleting. It is a massive box of stuff. This has to do with stock sequential, and of course they got the air pump and a bunch of other crap. This is like the air pump actuator thing that I'm gonna be making a blocking plate for. Just tons of stuff. Super exciting that I can save all that weight and clutter, because these motors are just naturally very cluttered. So essentially that's where it's going to end off for now. I'm going to do my sequential turbos, bolt those on, and then probably do the clutch transmission, a couple things on the front of the motor, then it's going into the car. So yeah, kind of just thought I would vlog this little bit of the motor build. Sorry it wasn't very exciting. So I'm going to try and keep it short, end it now. So thanks for watching. Another quick update for you guys. And as always, please like, comment, and subscribe.